Boom! All right, guys, welcome back. I got a gem of an exercise today for any of us missing this internal rotation. I've got a great exercise we're all doing, but there's a really easy way we can optimize it and find that missing little space preventing us from being pain-free. All right, 3 minutes or less, let's understand why our shoulder hurts and a little trick we can do to understand how the body works so we can keep it out of pain. But little shameless plug, down below, free 45-minute consultation. Click it. You can speak one-to-one with me or sign up to the 30-day Unbreakable Body Challenge mini course. Get to go through all of these videos yourself. Start to make yourself pain-free because this is a perfect transition into the topic we're going to talk about right now. Today's video is going to be why this internal rotation stretch is so important, how we're missing a piece in the posterior capsule. Don't get too confused now because I'm going to go into that after this part. However, what I want to talk about in this general area is why we're in pain and how we can run some simple tests on ourselves to see what's going on. If we're not a physical therapist, if we're not a doctor, if we're not a rocket scientist, it doesn't matter because we're going to I'm going to teach you, if you will, common sense, so then you can now make this common sense common practice. Now, what we should understand is the body needs to be in balance. If it is not in balance, everything is out of balance. Go figure, right? So let's look at the body being in balance like tug of war. And if you have something, for example, like my one shoulder, I can bring it all the way back and basically tickle the back of my neck with my fingers. And the other one, I can barely scratch my ass with it when it's behind my back. That is not balanced. One internal rotation of the shoulder is much better than the other. And you can apply this example, the theory to anywhere in the body. If they are not balanced, that is a disaster. That is like team toddlers playing tug of war against team Navy SEALs. It's no fun for anybody. The toddlers are going to lose every single time. The Navy SEALs are going to fly back and fall on their asses because they're going to win so quick, and nobody's going to have a good time. Team toddlers are crying. Team Navy SEAls are bored. This is the problem with our body. We need to make sure that everything is in balance so our nervous system understands what it is supposed to do. Because if one side is completely loose, the other side is completely tight, we're not able to maintain this proper movement in our body. Our nervous system doesn't know what's going on. And then you can imagine postural-wise what it is doing to us. So before I go off on some long, crazy rant, what I want you to take away from this little 3-minute intro is that if you've got some pain on one side and not the other side, on one hip, not the other hip, on one Achilles, not the other Achilles, learn a stretch. And if you say to yourself, how do I learn a stretch? You can YouTube one, stretch for my ankle, stretch for my shoulder, stretch for this, stretch for that. Or you can just put it in a position and then match it and compare it with the other one. Because the last piece, which is even worse, especially with this stretch, is when I worked with a bunch of pro tennis players, most of them being right-handed, so their moneymaker was their right arm was worse than their left. So their moneymaker had less range of motion, less mobility than the one they weren't using at all. That is crazy. Of course, we want the one moving better with a greater range of motion, since all science shows that leads to less injury, being the better one. So now you can even on top do this little exercise quickly before we go into the next part where we do it as a stretch and see which one is better and which one is worse. And if your dominant arm is worse, then boys and girls, you definitely need to watch the next part because it will be your saving grace. All right, so I'm going to go into this stretch for their shoulder on my knees. You can do it standing up. You can do it sitting in a chair, in a couch, really anywhere. The important thing is what is happening with our shoulder. So what I want you to do is I want you to put your arm behind your back and reach as high as you can. So unfortunately, this camera is in the wrong direction, so I will turn around quickly and show you what I mean. So as I am here, let's pretend this is as high as my shoulder can go, or my hand can go. What I want to look at here, let me see, the best camera angle to do this would be is where is my elbow? So if I'm able to climb a little bit higher here, and my elbow should be parallel with my spine. So what I don't want to see is this, because a lot of times when I see people able to get their arm higher, but their elbow is now pointing out, you see how it's now not next to my body? I'm not able to bring it into alignment with my spine. It is popping backwards. What this means is my shoulder right here is diagonal. It's diagonal. So I want you to think about this non-anatomically and basically just like a lever system. If this is my bone, right now it is pointed in the front of my shoulder. And my inability in this case to bring my arm straight, so this lever arm less diagonal, is because back here is too tight. So now I'm going to throw in some anatomical language and say that the anterior portion of my capsule, so the front portion of my capsule, in a capsule in the shoulders, this thing right here, is allowing my shoulders sit in the front, but the lack of range of motion in the posterior capsule. So I'll show it again and try to circle the posterior capsule here so you can see what I'm talking about. Does not allow my shoulder to naturally sit back, which is why it's like this, and my elbow cannot drop flush against my body and in my spine. And so it is actually the posterior capsule, the lack of the range of motion here, which is preventing you from being pain-free, because that means as we go out of that stretch, your shoulder technically is always kind of sitting in front because it is not allowed to naturally sit in the neutral position where it should be, because if the posterior capsule is too tight, that is going to push it forward. So it's just kind of like a water balloon, really. If you had a balloon here and you pushed it here, the water would move forward. So the water in this case is going to actually be your bone. It's going to move that forward because the range of motion is not in the back end. So by opening that back portion of the range of motion, that allows the shoulder to sit in a natural place. Now, if it's always like this, you're gonna have trouble raising your arm because this is not the natural position the arm wants to be in. If you feel your posture is always slumped, that could be for many reasons, but one of them definitely will be if your shoulder is sitting in front because of the lack of range of motion here, then of course you are not gonna be able to have natural posture. So do this on both sides. If your elbow is sticking out and it's not flush against your skin, that is what we want to work on. The way you can improve that is while you're here, just either push your shoulder back, try to play with your spine, move your shoulder around, turn your hand around, just start playing with those different positions. You will feel the tightness, and as you feel the tightness, just like any stretch, hold it in that position and it will begin to open up on its own. All right, there we go. One more video done and hopefully one more exercise for your library for you to become and stay pain-free. If you have not gone to the website yet, granttrainingsystems.com, and signed up for the free 45-minute consultation, do so now. Let's talk one-to-one about how my digital physical therapy programs can help get you pain-free and keep you pain-free and make sure you live a life that is pain-free. If you have not subscribed to the channel, do so now. Hit that goddamn bell so you get the notifications. Every Tuesday is a new video, and these videos are also every Friday on IGTV. So if you have not subscribed to my podcast yet or not subscribed to my Instagram channel, then do so now because the link is up there. I want to see you guys everywhere. Let me know what you think of the videos. Leave your comments below. Have a goddamn good day, and I'll see you guys next week.